Okay, what the focus is going to be on today is writing word equations. Sometimes we call these skeleton equations because we're going to learn how to balance next, but we need to start with just understanding how to write the equation as itself. So if we read through the directions here, it says write the compounds involved in the following reactions with the correct symbols included. Diatomic atoms come in pairs when by themselves, and it has the diatomic atoms listed there. Okay, so this is going to be continued practice from writing chemical compounds. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these first two and make sure we understand how to do them. So starting with that first one, we see dihydrogen monoxide and then goes to hydrogen plus oxygen. Okay, so we start with dihydrogen monoxide. That goes in this first blank here. And we know dihydrogen monoxide, anytime there is a chemical compound, we need to do what we were doing in our last unit. We need to figure out if it's ionic or covalent and then figure out how to write its formula. So dihydrogen monoxide, hydrogen and oxygen are both nonmetals. That makes this a covalent compound. So we have H2O. Two hydrogens, dihydrogen monoxide. There's one of those. Okay, those are using those prefixes that we talked about, di and mono. Okay, then we look at hydrogen and oxygen. If it's an element, we write out the element symbol for it. The only thing we have to pay attention to is our diatomic atoms. Hydrogen and oxygen are both diatomic. So hydrogen becomes H2 and oxygen becomes O2. Okay, so all we're doing is we're writing the formula and the symbols for everything in the chemical reaction. Sometimes it'll be compounds, sometimes it'll just break down into the elements, or maybe it'll combine elements in atoms of elements into a compound. But this one, we have dihydrogen monoxide into hydrogen and oxygen. So H2O goes into H2 plus O2. Okay. Paying attention to those symbols to know which blanks to write them into. So I'm going to clear this screen. Let's look at this next one here. And we can practice doing this one as well. We have silver 1 hydroxide plus potassium chloride goes to silver 1 chloride plus potassium hydroxide. Okay, so these are, we can see silver and hydroxide. Well, hydroxide is one of our special elements, remember, that are polyatomic. So that's when we have to look up the polyatomics. And silver is one of our transition metals. Okay, so we have silver hydroxide. So silver is Ag and it has a +1 charge, and hydroxide is OH and it has a -1 charge. So remember, since these are ionic compounds, we have to balance the charges. Okay, so for this first one, Ag has a +1 charge, hydroxide has a -1 charge. They're already balanced. We get AgOH. Okay, remember, I can tell the charge is silver by this Roman numeral here, since it doesn't have a charge above the periodic table. Okay, looking at the next one, we have potassium chloride, and potassium is K, and chloride is Cl. So again, we have another ionic compound here because potassium is a metal, chloride is a nonmetal. So potassium has a +1 charge and chloride has a -1 charge. So we're balancing it. It's already balanced like we said with the first one. So we have potassium K and chloride Cl. Okay, so those are the reactants, the two things that react together. Now we're going to write the formulas for the products. Silver chloride. Silver is a metal, chloride's a nonmetal, so we have another ionic compound. We have silver Ag, and it's silver 1 again, so we still have that +1 charge. And then chloride, Cl, and Cl we just looked up had a -1 charge. Not every single one of these are going to be balanced. So just like we were doing with ionic compounds, you have to balance them. So you have to look up their ion charges and then balance them. So silver chloride, silver and chloride are already balanced. So this chemical compound is AgCl. And then potassium hydroxide is potassium's K again, has a +1 charge. Hydroxide's a polyatomic, OH, that has a -1 charge. So this one just becomes KOH. Okay, so you're going through and you're doing the rest of these, paying close attention to whether it is a covalent compound or an ionic compound, and then writing the formulas, and then also paying close attention to these diatomic atoms here, ones that only are found in pairs.